Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and here with a movie I'm actually gonna try to watch all three of in the series. Let's hope I don't regret that. But the film in this video for this review is The Art of War from 2000, directed by Christian Duguay, starring Wesley Snipes, Donald Sutherland, Mari Chaikin, Anne Archer, Michael Biehn, Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa, and James Hong. Now, this is your standard kind of fugitive type plot, which is interesting since Wesley Snipes, Mr. Guy here, was also in a film called U.S. Marshals, which was a sequel to The Fugitive, which was basically The Fugitive again, but instead of a normal everyday guy, it's a government guy, so it's a bit less intriguing. Even though it's been forever since I've seen The Fugitive, it's probably at least alright. I just remember a lot of reviews of the time saying it was like one of the best action movies ever. But this film, Neil Shaw, who is Wesley Snipes' character, he is an operative for the UN, the United Nations, and he's basically undercover all the time. No one knows he exists. If he ever gets caught by the police, he can't just say, "Oh, I'm FBI," because he isn't technically supposed to exist. So that does create some issues. And after a Chinese, what was he? I can't really remember. This Chinese guy who's like big into a trade, there's like a trade agreement, and he gets assassinated, and then Jerry, I keep wanting to call him Jerry, Neil Shaw, has to basically evade the police, cops, CIA, whatever, because and prove like his innocence. So this film, it's one of Wesley Snipes' later films. It's not in the like early 90s or late 90s. This is 2000. This was one of the last theater films he did, actually. I don't remember if it did well. This film had quite a bit of money behind it. It had a $60 million budget, which is, I'm pretty sure, the highest budget of any Wesley Snipes film. There are many issues I have with the film. Overall, I think it's a decent watch. If you're a Wesley Snipes fan, you'll like it. If you go into it expecting a super action-y movie, this isn't for you. It's more of the spy, intrigue, that kind of thing than an action film. Even though this quote on the front, a kinetic wall-to-wall action movie from Kirk Honeycutt of the Chicago Sun-Times. And on the back, excellent. Snipes is a combination Shaft and James Bond martial arts at its best. There is literally one scene of martial arts in this film. If you brought up like a movie like, I don't know, Avengement with Scott Adkins, or not Avengement, Accident Man with Scott Adkins, then you can say martial arts at its best. It's at least for America or low budget films. But this film, that's kind of weird to say. I also forgot to mention Marie Matiko is in this. I don't know who she is, but I'll get to that. But yeah, this is a pretty decent spy thriller. Nothing is overly original in this. It's very by the numbers, and I hate using that term, but that's the only way I can see it. It's a fugitive plot. It's very similar to apparently a lot of Wesley Snipes' later direct-to-video films, like The Contractor, The Detonator, the sequel to this, Art of War 2 Betrayal, all have to deal with him being in the wrong place at the wrong time, being blamed for a death of an important person, and I don't know. It's kind of weird that's kind of become a niche type of film, just like fugitive type films. But yeah, I'll get to the cast. Wesley Snipes does a good job. I do legitimately like Wesley Snipes as an actor, as a martial artist, but as that only. Yes, recently you hear about like Wesley Snipes' tax evasion. My opinion on that aside, apparently behind the scenes of Blade Trinity, he was a complete dickhead to everybody. Yes, if that's true, yeah, it's not okay. It's not okay to just like be a dick to everybody. But as an actor, as an action star, as a martial artist, I really like him. He has a lot of charisma, especially in this film, because I feel like this film was meant to like help his acting chops a bit, because he does have a couple scenes that I'm like, oh, he's actually doing a really good job acting. Even though most of the film he's kind of just playing this normal like badass spy that can't show emotion. But the couple emotional scenes do work for the film. Anne Archer as Eleanor Hooks, she does a good job. Always nice to see her in a different type of role. As this like, she is Neil Shaw. She is Shaw's boss. I'm trying to remember all the actors that were in it. Mari Chaikin as Frank Capella. He's a cop who's after Neil. He does a good job. He's very stereotypical, I will say that. But he's always fun to watch. Marie Matiko as Julia Fang. What else has she been in? She was in Mystery Men, Date Movies, Sum of All Fears, Corruptor, Max Havoc. That's on my watch list. Yeah, she's not been in a ton of films. She wasn't bad. I'm guessing. Well, she's acting bilingually in I don't know if it was Mandarin or simplified traditional Chinese, whatever. She was acting in Chinese and English. She did a good job in English. There were emotional scenes with her that I actually really liked too. Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa doesn't really do much. I do wish she did a bit more. Michael Biehn's fun in the role, and Donald Sutherland is kind of just there. He's not really that good in the film. But yeah, this is a spy thriller. It's got all the normal hallmarks, the whole intrigue. The main character even has weapons hidden behind a mirror at one point, which I was kind of like, that's interesting. Because in these types of movies where it's like, not even like, it is technically also one of those 2 days away from retirement. Even though he's young, he wants to have a regular job. And yeah, it's a very interesting direction, especially since Wesley Snipes wasn't that old when this came out. I don't think he was even 40 yet. I can check. Born in 62, so he's 38. And talking about freaking like retiring. So weird. But yeah, what is there to say about this film? This film is definitely misrepresented as an action movie. It has literally a couple of scenes of action. There is a fight scene near the beginning that is very well choreographed and very well executed, but I mean, it leads into one of the worst things in the movie, which is the compositing, or the green screen work and the sound effects. Because there are a lot of sound effects, like, you know, in like there was that article when there was the what was it? I forgot if it was Prince William and Kate, or maybe it was the marriage of Harry and Meghan Markle, and I could give less of a shit about them, but there was an article that found out that there were like added in like sound effects from like a Minion movie, like one of the Despicable Me either Minions or one of the Despicable Me movies. There were like sweetened applause, like you could hear like a sound effect being played over and over. This film has that. It has the same sound effect played 3 different times during the Chinese New Year scene, and it does really scream cheap, and this film should not scream cheap. This film cost $60 million. Like, that's not small. That's not a small budget, especially for 2000, before the market crash and all that shit. Like, that's not a small budget. I'm guessing a lot of the budget went to the pretty starry cast. Probably a lot of it went to Wesley Snipes. But still, this film, and there's a scene where he jumps out with a parachute, and there's some really bad green screen. It's like him parachuting down off of a huge building where the Chinese New Year thing is taking place, and into a crowd, and it looks almost like a PS2 game. It almost looks worse. I definitely think there's a better way they could have done that, or a better way they could have shot it. Just whatever. But yeah, it's just, other than that, the film, there's like an action scene at the end and an action scene at the beginning. No, there's maybe 4, but every action scene is very short. There's this action scene where he's in a car with people that have like abducted him, and there's like a chase. There's more action than I'm thinking, but it's just not very well paced action wise. As a spy thriller, it works. As a spy thriller, it works. It's not doing anything really new or original. It's doing its job. It's doing its job admirably, of being just what it wants to be, if that makes any sense. And Wesley Snipes is one of the big parts of that, because I think he's fun to watch. If this was any other actor from the time, like, I don't know, Ryan Phillippe, even though I like Ryan Phillippe now, and I think he has come a long way acting-wise, I don't think in 2000 he could have pulled this role off. Because back then he was still very young-looking. He was still in, like, teen movies. And yeah, I just don't think he could have done it. But yeah. I guess I'll get to the pros and cons. There's not a ton to talk about with this movie, and that would go into spoiler territory. Which I guess I will do spoilers for this film. I mean, it's not exactly a must-see. I try not to do spoilers on films that I say you must see. But, spoilers... I'll hold up the case of the movie and say spoilers like 3 times. But pros: Wesley Snipes, Maury Chaykin, Ann Archer, Michael Biehn, Marie Matiko all do great jobs. Great, or at least decent. The action, where it is well done. It really is. It's got a couple of those CG gimmicks because this came out like not long after The Matrix, and yeah, it's still a fun action. It's still a fun spy movie, or decent spy movie. The original score, the score from where is his name? Normand Corbeil. Very early 2000s, very late 90s, early 2000s techno score with some guitar, some instrumental, some orchestral. Very nice to listen to. Some really cool tracks there that I was like, it was very pumping. It is available on YouTube, which is nice. A lot of these older film scores don't really get big releases, especially kind of like big budget action movies even sometimes didn't get that. I think it has a decent enough pace to it. even though it is 117 minutes. I definitely think some could have been cut to make it flow a bit better as an action movie, but still, it works. Cons, of course, I do wish there was more action. I think the score, or not the score, the green screen and sound effects, especially in the first scene, are pretty lackluster and I'll just say that's straight up bad. Donald Sutherland's kind of a one-dimensional character. Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa needed to be in the film more. I just wish the film was a bit more original, had some more original bits to it. Also, another pro, I will say I do like the twist, and I thought the twist was well executed. And I like the ending. I think the ending is very... I think the ending of the film is very satisfying, while it does still leave it open for a sequel. That's the best kind of ending. If filmmaking wise, if you make it satisfying and open for a sequel. So, but yeah, now I'm gonna get to spoilers. Not gonna have much to say about the spoilers, but spoilers. 3, 2, 1. Now, the ending. I will say about the ending. In the end, throughout the film, you're supposed to be led to believe that Wesley Snipes' character's friend, who was also an operative played by Michael Biehn, has been dead because he hears him get shot over the walkie-talkie. Now, I did kind of see this coming, that he would come back into the film and that he would be a villain. Mostly because you hear the gun sound effect and he's like, Neil, oh, I'm shot, I'm dying, and it feels very abrupt, like he's acting. So I did kind of pick up on that. What I didn't pick up on was Anne Archer's character was the main villain, and she was trying to... It's a bit confusing, and I'm not big on the political side of it. She was apparently going to use the Chinese thing against the people. She was using Neil as a fall guy, and then at the end of the movie, she thinks that she's taken all the evidence against Neil, and Neil hires one of the triads that she was fucking over as her chauffeur, and then at the end of the film, he turns around and shoots her in the head after she calls the guy that she had murdered she basically calls him a pig, and he shoots her in the fucking head. It's a pretty satisfying ending for a complete bitch of a character. And I hate to say it like that, but she was horrible. She was a horrible person. And Anne Archer did a great job playing that villain. That's why I didn't say much about what she did in the beginning, because I didn't want to spoil that part. But yeah, all in all, this is a very decent spy thriller. It works. It flows at a decent pace, even at being almost 2 hours. And yeah, it's a decent enough movie. These are kind of the hardest reviews because I'm not really like heaping praise on it or heaping hate on it. It's kind of just it's a decent movie. That's about all I can say. I will say less thoughts. This DVD, I got this at Dollar General when I was out on my birthday like a year ago, I think. Cause like when I'm on my birthday, I usually go thrift shopping, like a big old thrift shopping. This DVD is really not that good. I don't know if this is the original DVD. It was in newer packaging. It looks nice on the front because that is the poster, except it's black on the top and bottom instead of white. I do prefer the white. I think it looks cooler. But there are no features. There is only a theatrical trailer. And the picture quality looks really good. The picture quality looks really good. My issue is there's no menu, basically. It's a very blank, like, kind of yellowish menu that's like play movie, subtitles, audio, theatrical trailer. And it's like, you could have done better than that. But yeah, it's a very lazy DVD, but whatever. I could watch the movie and it worked. But yeah, tell me if you liked the movie down below. Any requests down in the comments. Like, subscribe, whatever. Hit the bell so you know whenever I post. And movie review next door. Out.